Hello, everyone, and welcome to Atomic Mass Transmissions live from Virtual Gen Con. Now, I finally get to have Virtual Gen Con from my house, which is really exciting. I never thought that was going to happen, but here we are, thanks to a power outage at our office, where the studio shut down right before showtime. So, we've had our fun Gen Con panic experience. Josh broke down in hysterical laughter for the whole time. I wish you could have seen that part. It was amazing. I wasn't really sure if he was going to recover, but he's okay. So we're going to go right in and dive right into this super awesome 2-hour paint excursion where Dallas and I will be painting Wolverine. So let me bring in Dallas's cam, and we will get things going. So here we go. And here's this. We're going to focus in, and everyone's going to be super happy. And then we're going to push the live button. And now you should see 2 Wolverines. Hey, look at that. Isn't that great? Yeah, now my Wolverine needs to stay cropped in here. So we're going to do, we're not going to do that. That's not what we wanted. We're going to do this. How you doing, Dallas?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to paint this Wolverine, but I've been ready to paint this Wolverine for like a year. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I couldn't before, but I can now.
Okay, so what I said was I'm ready to paint this Wolverine, but I've been ready to paint this Wolverine for like a year.
That's a true statement. That's a true statement. I've been waiting to paint this Wolverine my whole life. How's that?
You know what? I'll agree with that. I think it's a way better statement.
My whole life.
So we got 2 Wolverines. What does that mean?
We've got only about, well, we have 3 very distinct Wolverine costumes for sure. So you're already off on the face. Look at you go. You're not even going to mess around.
I mean, the face is universal. It doesn't matter what costume, I can paint the face. And these sick arms.
He's a beefy dude. What he lacks in height, he makes up for in width.
Yeah, and this guy was a lot of fun, like getting that scale and that size down.
If by a lot of fun you mean we had a lot of conversations about it and printed a lot of Wolverines, yeah.
We printed a lot of Wolverines trying to get the height to feel good and that size. And Marco made this back 18 miles wide.
He did. Well, I'm not going to humble brag, but you did print him out originally. You were like, we're going to print him out at true scale. So 5'1", which is, I believe, what the listing is for him. And I was like, there's no way that'll work. That's way too small. He's going to look wrong. Because I don't think he's ever been drawn at 5'1".
He's never been drawn at 5'1".
And you were like, we're going to do it and just see what happens. And he was like, he was ridiculously small. There was no way it was ever going to work that way. So we went back to the drawing board. You made him a little bigger, but he's still, he's small. Don't get me wrong, folks. He's definitely, he's what we call feel right scale.
He's feel right scale.
But even at feel right scale, he was so small that we were like, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong? So we went back. We pulled up a bunch of Wolverine images from the comics and the different runs. And what we realized was he's small, but he's broad. He's super broad in everything that's drawn. He's just really muscular. He's swole. And that was the secret sauce, wasn't it?
Yeah, just make him really, really broad, really bring out those shoulders and really open up that chest. And then you make the back wide and you get a nice stocky looking Wolverine, right?
Yeah, he looks right. He looks heroic, still short, but he doesn't look like comically short.
And I'm definitely, and you like to say I'm the patron saint of lost causes. I will know I'm doing something wrong, and I'll still do it just so I can do it and look at it. He's going to look wrong at this size, I know, but I have to do it because I got to see it.
It has to be done.
You just have to look at it sometimes.
It's a valuable learning experience for sure because it definitely... it definitely kind of hammered home the idea that there's a scale and it's important to maintain, But there's also that feel right scale, and that's something that allows you to cheat, sort of, in that you don't want to become a slave to any master, honestly.
No.
Because when you do, you lose that flexibility that's going to allow you to make these characters look right and look cool and all of that stuff. I mean, I think Thanos. What was Thanos when we were looking at that? The official kind of like height for him was like 6'6", which is the same height as Thor.
Yeah,
and we're like, there's no way. There's no way. I've never seen Thanos that short. Maybe in the original Infinity Gauntlet run, he was not quite as big as he is now. He hadn't quite taken on those amazingly epic proportions yet.
There's a lot of like what you remember in your head of a character feels like. So I'm sure you guys talked about this a lot, and Josh and I talked about this a lot. Or when I say you guys, you and Pagani talked about this in the design. Josh and I talked about this a little bit in art. It's like you're trying to get that feel of the character, the essence, not necessarily capture the exactness of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we have this discussion in the studio all the time when it comes to trying to scale things appropriately. And well, the official Marvel documentation says that it's this big, but it doesn't feel right because like think about all these comic panels and everything. At the end of the day, each comic panel is a piece of art, right? They're looking at composition and they're looking at what's going to make that image compelling and exciting. So when it comes to that, scale isn't as important. Sometimes the Hulk is going to be gargantuan and sometimes the Hulk is going to be small in the next scale because it's about what looks cool, what makes that composition look good. And I always get a hard time because I like to use the term tableau because I'm an old drama guy. I love the term tableau because it was something that got drilled into us when I did theater and stuff like that in high school and everything. And it was always like, you have to find the tableau. Like, what's your tableau? And I always come back to the same thing when we're working on these sculpts, and it's the thing that I kind of like to harp on the most is, well, these have to look good in tableau. How do they look in tableau? Like, what does the group look like? You have different terminology for it, but you've certainly brought it up in the exact same way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this guy in Sabretooth, I'm going to show Sabretooth. I got him right here, right? So, like, you really want that little story there of Sabretooth is jumping down and Wolverine's looking up. And once again, that kind of like accentuates Wolverine's shortness,
Size,
right?
Yeah.
So by lifting our Sabretooth up a bit, it makes Wolverine look a little bit shorter. And we stretch that Sabretooth out. We curl his body toward Wolverine. Wolverine's leaning in towards Sabretooth, and you create that tableau. You create that little story element together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it was one of those things that we started to really work on when we established these sets and what we were going to do with them. We knew that Wolverine and Sabretooth had to go together as this iconic pairing. And if we were going to do that, then they had to look good in pose together. Like when you put them on the shelf, you want to be compelled to put these characters next to each other. You want to create those little mini dioramas when they're in storage. And to think about these things beyond just being game pieces, because they're way more than that, right? These are miniatures. These are miniatures that are, art. They're display pieces as well as being, awesome little sculpts that you get to put in a game and play with and standing in for these character rules and stuff. They're more than avatars, I guess is a good way to put that.
Yeah, they're not just cardboard chits.
No, the care and the artistry that goes into it by everyone who assembles and puts brush to them, regardless of what the overall goal is, whether it's primarily meant to be used on a tabletop or submitted to a competition or anything else. Like, at the end of the day, everyone's going to appreciate, I believe everyone's going to appreciate that extra level because that's why we all do this hobby. It's for the awesome miniatures that we then get to play an awesome game with and improve our skills over and all of that stuff.
Totally agree, sir. Totally agree. So I'm kind of going ham on these muscles here.
I mean, he's swole, so you got to make him pop.
I'm totally gonna paint hair on him too. He's got to earn that nickname Furball and Runt. Wolverine's got all the nicknames.
He does. None of them are good nicknames though. They're all pretty derogatory nicknames for poor Wolverine. He is abrasive, so I guess he kind of earns it, but maybe if people were a little nicer with him, it wouldn't be quite so bad.
Josh just told everybody I'm doing brown Wolverine, but there was a moment earlier I was just like, maybe I'll do the black and white
X-Force Wolverine?
X-Force Wolverine.
I mean, that Wolverine was pretty sick, so I certainly feel like it's not a bad choice. You still could.
I mean, let's be real honest. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I got a huge collection of Wolverine comics. I love my boy Wolverine, and I got plans for 4.
It's a lot of Wolverines.
But it's never enough, though. Like that's the interesting part of that.
A few, but never enough. For the folks asking in the chat, no, Wolverine's claws are all attached to his arm here. So
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Now, if you want to, a little clipper work, and you can make each of those parts separate, and you can certainly challenge yourself from a hobby standpoint.
He is, I'm trying to remember, front, back, torso, arm, leg, head.
You obviously won't use both heads, probably. Not at the same time, anyway. Unless you want to do that moment in the Age of Ultron comic run, I suppose you could. Then you'd need 2 Wolverine heads. Maybe that's a little too dark for this stream. I probably shouldn't talk about that.
I got +1 for X-Force, but I think I gotta do. Oh man, I got brown and yellow on my screen. The struggle is real.
You can change your screen.
That's my reference pick.
I know, just change the pick. Pretty sure that's like 2 clicks and you're there.
It's true. I got 2 hours to paint this guy. That's like infinity.
It's a long time. I mean, the chat seems pretty on board with this X-Force idea.
It's true. Technically says I need to see Dallas's Weapon X. I know he's planning. Like, oh my God, you love Weapon X.
Yeah, you recently completed your Wolverine collection, your Pride and Joy.
Yeah, I got that. Got that Frank Miller issue 1 miniseries finally after all these years. I picked it up at my little local comic shop. He just happened to have one, and I was just like, you know what? I'm doing it.
So there's a couple questions in chat about good yellows to use, because we have so many characters in yellow with our X-Men coming out. Dallas, do you have any recommendations on yellow paints you find really useful?
That Marduk yellow you like is pretty good. I've been playing with that more. Is that what you're doing now?
Yeah, it's the... Let me see if I can find it. I put it away because I was kind of done with it. So what I wind up doing is typically I'll take that Soul Yellow and a little bit of Mars Orange, and I'll mix that together. Or sometimes I'll use Iroko, which is kind of like a yellow tan, and I'll mix that in with the yellow to kind of get what I'm looking for, like a kind of a something bordering almost on like yellow pumpkin color.
Mm-hmm.
because I find that just helps the coverage, and then it's a nice layer to build up from. I don't start with primary yellow unless I'm doing an airbrush. I've started with primary yellow when using an airbrush because you can get nice smooth coverage, but then you have to work it down, and I find that hard to do with yellows a lot of the times.
Yeah, I don't start with a primary unless I'm using an airbrush. I'll start with like a. Well, see, now I feel like I should do the brown and yellows because I'm going to do a different type of yellow.
Yeah, the Marduk yellow, which is this one, which is coming out really green on camera for reasons I don't know. It's kind of like right underneath a primary yellow. It's got, and I don't find that works super well as a base, although it's easier to do um, over the gray Zenith Prime for sure. But I like to start at kind of an ochre or an orange, somewhere
Mm-hmm.
right along there, and then that makes the base coat really go on really nice and even. And it doesn't take a lot of those primary yellow highlights to make the whole thing feel yellow, right? Because like you've talked about before in classes, and I think you even covered this on your color pop stuff, the eye reads those highlights and then it kind of fills in the values underneath. And so you can
Yeah.
really change how things feel with just a few little, splotches of color.
Yeah, you just kind of a good ochre, and then you let the other colors fill in around it. It really helps speed up yellows. Going down to brown or like starting out with a brown. Hang on, I gotta put my reference pick up. Okay, I'll bring it over there. So like you started with that and that yellow. I'm going to go with I don't know what it's called. I took a little bit of orange leather and I mixed it into the Marduk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then that way I kind of tone it down and bring in some of that brown to work with.
Yeah.
Because it's not like his brown and orange costume is much more warm than that canary yellow 90s Jim Lee.
Mm-hmm.
So I want a lot of orange, and I'll probably put a lot of orange in there as I work up the colors.
Yeah. So now I'm working with that Marduk yellow a bit more. I've mixed more into the overall base, and so I'm starting to do those layer highlights with a little blending, a la Dallas Kemp.
So this is not the exact costume. So I'm just gonna kind of fake it because that's what we do.
I mean, it's inspired by, right? Like we've talked about
I
that
was talking
too.
about the brown.
We've talked a bit about that too. Like one of the things I love about these characters is you have enough memory of them that you can kind of do your own interpretation, but it still feels like that classic scheme, even if there are slight differences between people's takes. And that's a lot like, comic creative teams when they work on these characters too. They're always building off of what people did before them, but also adding their own little twists and flair and things like that to make the characters and the art style their own.
Yeah, that's been fun. It's like because with production, right? You got to we have to make some decisions, and we kind of have to like interpret costumes, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily recreate the exact costume.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rarely the exact costume.
Right. Like I know, for example, some keen eye observers noticed that this Wolverine mini here has two stripes on his side instead of the standard three. And part of that was exactly for the reason you're talking about, which was casting, right?
Yeah, it just didn't work. Um, like it just didn't work. There's like some hints there that maybe you could get some, but they just didn't quite. They just weren't castable for 3. So we made and then they were also very small.
Mm-hmm.
So it was better to go with like a version. There's like a black costume. Well, it's not really black, but it's like a dark costume. And he's got the 2 stripes on the side and then the one over the shoulder to count as the 3. So we kind of riffed off that idea.
Mm-hmm. For those asking, the shoulder pads are not separate pieces.
No.
We wanted to keep the part count down and make assembly as straightforward as possible, so with that comes a little bit of sacrifice on modularity. It's always a balance.
And that was also one of those casting things, right? We looked at the little triangular sticking off the shoulder, and those would have had to been separate, and then you have to cut down into the arm to make it big enough.
Mm-hmm.
So it just became like this mega small piece. So we decided to go with, once again, there's another costume that has a more square shoulder pad. So we were able to pull that over, and it made the arm able to be one piece, right? So
I mean, chat's talking about no underwear, but I'm looking at my Wolverine being like, there's totally blue underwear right here. It's just waiting to be painted, and I feel like I have to do it, even though I'm not a huge proponent of the superhero underwear thing.
yeah, I see Theo Spencer. Okay, thanks, understandable. Asked the question about that. Yeah, I mean, everything you see on these is like meticulously gone over for paintability, castability, readability. Like it's everything. Like it's always there's so much going in to make these, right? So it's all figuring out, and like that way we and like being able to interpret the characters a little bit gives that freedom to make it more castable, make it make it do the thing we need to do.
Yeah, the tolerances, I mean, the technical expertise required and kind of the genius behind the engineering team of Evan and Marco, who are fantastic engineers.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's kind of mind blowing when you're just like, well, it just works like this, and it's like, well, no, it doesn't. There's so much nuance to it. Then there's so many things that you're trying to account for and correct, and then you wind up with the whole, okay, but how do we make it so that we're hiding as many seam lines as possible, and we're minimizing fit issues and making things easily paintable, like you said, like those slashes. And it's an amazing thing.
And it's been a learning process, right? We've only been announced as a studio for a year. We've
been alive for a little longer than that.
We've been alive
a little longer than that.
A little longer. But it's a learning process. This is not something that anybody can just jump in and understand. So you develop skills and you develop new techniques, and we're lucky to have really awesome partners and talented people working with us. So
Yeah, there's Asmodee North America and the production team over there has been amazing in all aspects of everything.
Oh yeah, the plastics team is just great to work with.
From plastics to print, it's a team effort for sure. But at the end of the day, you're right. It's always about learning and improving, and that's the hobby in general. I think that's the human condition in general, right? Like, you can be anything you want as long as you accept the fact that you're constantly. I just spit my brush out of my mouth. I got so excited, Dallas.
He was so excited, kids.
Oh, it's gone now. I've lost it. It hit the floor and probably went into an air vent, as the internet likes to say.
Just right down in there.
Ah, that's the brush I need. That's my blending brush. First the power goes out. Now I've lost my blending brush.
He's very grumpy right now. I can feel it.
This is just Gen Con getting back at us. What am I gonna do without my blending brush? I'm gonna have to break open a new brush, Dallas. You know how that pains me. I hate opening new brushes. It's that moment of like it's no longer new. Alright, we switched brushes. Fine, I'll stop whining about it. Back into focus. Keep going.
Maids the Max 123 asks, do you paint the metallic areas black first or just go over to primer? I tend to just go right over to primer. That's me.
I used to paint it black every time, but I found that it doesn't make that big of a difference.
Yeah.
And I don't really notice it that much. Once after you've finally done the washes and you've done the highlights and everything, it's minimal. I think if you didn't want to do the classic like paint your metals, wash them, highlight them, and all that jazz, if you were just going to do it like a dry brush, which I've done for metals before, you absolutely would have to paint it black. Because the dry brush obviously won't work over the lighter colors, but yeah, if you're doing like pretty standard metal stuff, I mean I don't think you did anything black in your metalosity class, did you?
The metalosity class. I mean, I primed Ultron Zenithal, and then I just airbrushed it silver, and then like in my ColourPop class, I painted gold right over the white primer. So if you can go back and watch those videos, you'll see I just paint right over the white.
It can also depend on the paint you're using too. I've certainly had more success with certain paints if I go over a dark coat with metallics, because metallics are always weird from like line to line. Like every paint has its own characteristics, right? So that can make a big difference too.
And just the way different individuals paint. Like I paint very thin, and I plan out like I know I'm going to do a mid-tone pretty much, and then I'm going to just deepen the heck out of my shadows on my metals with very opaque paint. So I don't care how much white is shining through on the shadows because I'm just going to smash it down. I'm just going to smash it down. Oh, that's too red.
Walk it back. Walk it back.
Yeah, I need a good red brown. So I'm just kind of using this brown that I had from my skin tone class. And just mix some red in it.
Try Tindalos Red from the Fantasy and Games.
Yes, I think that's the red I got. And then I'm mixing it into a brown. Oh, this is just all just pure nostalgia right now. Kind of just freaking out.
Just remember that iconic cover of the first time Wolverine and Sabretooth faced off in costume against each other.
Oh my god, Uncanny 233.
I'll take your word for it. I just remember the image.
Yeah, oh boy.
What super zoomed up on their face, the claws going, all that jazz. It's great.
It's yeah, the black, and then they're just going at it, and then of course Wolverine number 10, which is the first time they fought not in costume, and they're in the snow, and for some reason Sabretooth has a stick and is just beating Wolverine with a stick. It's like, why do you got a stick, bro?
Why would you, O Stick?
He's
Come
got
on, Dallas.
claws.
Sometimes you don't want to make them bleed. You just want to hurt them.
That's true. I forgot this Wolverine has the brown goes around. So I guess I should paint. Maybe I should paint his underpants brown.
Wolverine Hulk, yet another classic.
Incredible Hulk 181.
It depends. They've met a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about the first appearance, right?
That's first appearance of Wolverine, yeah.
Yeah.
He had whiskers on his mask.
He's a kitty cat.
His costume was only like a Kit Kat. Like the Wolverine, literally.
He's just a kitty cat.
We're going to do his belt. His belt's red.
I mean, him having whiskers would, tie into the enhanced senses thing.
That's true.
That's why they have whiskers. That's why kitty cats have them whiskers.
I told you about the time I went to some guy's house. He had some comics for sale. I was like 17 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I went to some older feller's basement to buy comics, and he had a 181, a Hulk 181, and it was in really bad shape. And I was like, I was so snobby at 17, of course. I was just like, I mean, I didn't even have the money to buy it in the shape it was in. I'm going to be real honest. But at the same time, I was just like, even if I did, I wouldn't buy it. It was so bad shape. And now I'm like, man, I should have bought that.
Now Dallas with money is like, it would have been fun to just own it, regardless. I mean, you could have read it. That would have been nice.
I read all my comics. Like, if I buy a comic, I'm reading it.
Kind of the same way, but with like collectibles and action figures and stuff. I go through phases where I get really into that stuff. Shocking that I like miniatures because of that, right? Who'd have thunk?
Yeah, who'd have thunk?
Who'd have seen that coming? But I'm the same way. They always come out of the package. I'm not getting them to just leave for someday when they're worth something. Like, I just want to put them on the shelf. I want to play with them a little bit. Like, I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna have fun with them because that's what they're meant for. Just like a miniature is meant to be put on a table and played with, and to get joy and excitement out of. Like, that's the same thing with comics or anything like of those childhood things. It's about. But if your joy is just having it and keeping it in mint condition, I get that. I don't like it when my stuff gets dirty. It's part of growing up, like as a military brat. You take care of stuff. You get yelled at otherwise.
Oh man, when I was a kid, I put all my action figures in separate baggies and keep all their like little accessories in those baggies with them. And my brother was a monster. My brother just threw everything like in a toy box. It was terrible to deal with.
So what do you got going on right now? What's the process happening? Because you're looking real good, and I'm still working on yellows. But I'm going to be doing this for probably an hour. So.
I'm deciding how to handle the brown, because like I said, this isn't the brown costume. I don't care. I want brown and yellow Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I'll do the yellow blue, and then eventually I'll do the X Force one. And then eventually I got something else planned. But you know what that is. I told you about that.
You did.
Yeah, but I can't talk about that yet.
It's a secret.
It is. I mean, it's a secret right now.
It's true. Is
I
Josh...
mean, Josh would kill me.
I was going to say, is Josh in the chat right now? Or did he like give up because of the whole like shutdown? I hope Josh made it home okay. that he's not just still cackling madly in the darkness of the office.
Just still losing it over.
I mean, it was pretty epic.
I mean, when he called me to tell me what was going on, he was
Still cackling like mad. Like it was something else. But you know, it's funny because he's like, I finally got this figured out, Shick. I got it all figured out. This one's gonna be great. Everything's working. And like, I swear to God, the second he said that was when all the power shut down. So you know, that's enough to make a person go crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how to, because he's wearing the brown underpants on this costume.
Yeah, but you don't have to have him in the undies. This isn't
True.
a one-to-one of that. That's just reference. It's just reference.
It's homage.
Yeah. It's like everything we do in the studio. We use a lot of reference and we try to capture the essence, but it's kind of always our own unique spin on it because
Yep.
of how things just are. Oh, Josh is in the chat. I mean, it was longer than a moment, my friend. It was longer than a moment. It was, I was kind of worried. I was worried for a second, even behind the bulletproof glass in the segmented studio.
This is the moment where we lose Josh.
I wasn't sure, you know? I wasn't sure what was going to happen.
Refugee says, I thought this stream was going to be about the recent reveals and such. Isn't this about the recent reveals? Isn't that what we're doing?
We are painting one of them.
We're painting Wolverine.
I guess my turnaround would be, what would you like to know? What were you hoping for?
I mean, we're just sitting here painting so we can answer lots of questions. I mean, approved questions, but questions nonetheless.
We're here to hang out and paint and answer questions that we can. So if you have a burning desire to know something, let me know.
Yeah.
I mean, I can show off the She-Hulk Dallas. Well, Dallas was painting his She-Hulk. I was painting my She-Hulk because we've shown her off. So why not? She's not done, but that's my start.
Where'd it go? Did you show it yet?
Hey, you're on the little delay. You gotta wait. So we got that. I don't know what else. Josh can't really stop me. I know your desk is loaded with stuff. My desk is definitely loaded with stuff.
Oh, my desk has stuff like.
Your desk has stuff way beyond mine, though. You got all that sweet plastic early stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I got this. I can show this. Here's another one of the reveals. Oh, look. He doesn't have any paint on him yet, but can't really get him in there for like a good... Oh, there's a size comparison. Look how small he is.
What did you show?
You'll see it. Don't worry. You don't sweat your little mind about it.
I literally missed it.
That's Magneto, man.
Oh, nice. Oh, somebody thought this was going to be the state of AMG.
The state of AMG. Things are going pretty well. Our office has no power. So we're hanging out at home and painting, as we have been doing for a while now. I mean, I would say the state of AMG at the moment is extremely positive. Everyone's super excited to, continue to make awesome stuff. Gen Con has been amazing this year, as it was last year. There's a lot of folks that are kind of behind the scenes and don't particularly want to be in front of the camera or doing a whole lot of stuff, like Marco and Evan, our amazing graphic designer Jesse. So they kind of like hang out in the wings and watch, but you know, every time something goes up, they're the first ones there watching to see what you guys say, and you know, it's super great when you guys love stuff, and we love getting your feedback, and you know, always striving to do better and to make things more awesome. But State of AMG, I would say 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. I don't know.
I'm gonna say 10 out of 10 for me.
I don't think we can say 10 out of 10 because Josh had a mental break recently because of the power, but
Okay, that's fair.
also whatever was on the printer is now no longer on the printer, my friend, because the office died.
Oh boy.
So 9 out of 10. We'll go with 9 out of 10 due to power outage problems at the office.
Looks like I'm going in tomorrow.
What else is releasing in August? We've shown everything that releases in August. It is just CP10. So Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Ghost Spider, and then Green Goblin. And then, what? Ant-Man. What else have we shown? Doctor Strange and Wong. I don't want to say anything that's going to make Josh like have more of a breakdown, so I'm trying to be careful here. There's something else, I think.
Can you say is Cyclops and Storm's leadership same or different?
I mean, would it be X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold if they were the same people? No. No. They are... Storm's... part of the design philosophy of the game is that those leaderships on each character are different, which obviously leads, in the X-Men's case, to each of the X-Men squads having a different kind of like focus and play style. And then in the other affiliations, obviously it adds thematic choice and differences based on the leader, because, you know, when Steve Rogers leads the Avengers, it's a bit of a different leadership style than, say, when Iron Man does it, or when Sam Wilson did it, or take your pick, right, of all these great leaders who have taken charge of the Avengers over the time. You know, we want the character to be reflected in that. We definitely want those leaderships to feel iconic of the time when whatever character was in charge. So.
Yeah, Storm would make different choices than Scott.
And I mean, those teams function differently too, partly because their membership was different. But also, I mean, you know, the game plan changes based on your coach and your quarterback, to use sports ball analogies. So that's why the leaderships provide us another option and opportunity to add that narrative and that flavor, and to make that choice meaningful and important. I know out of the two, I love the Cyclops one, but it plays more to my style. So typically when I do X-Men, if I have both Cyclops and Storm on a team, which, you know, will probably happen a fair amount of time, I always like to go with Psych.
I like Storms.
Yeah, and they're just different. Like, what you can accomplish with each of them is very different. And so it matters. And it's the same, I mean, I think it's even more dramatic when it comes to the Brotherhood leaderships and how they're very different.
Yeah.
You know, those are also fun because Pagani, as we discussed in our panel this afternoon, or at noon, I guess, shortly before this, he did the design work on Magneto because Magneto was going to be kind of like a bigger, badder boss-style character like Thanos, and I did the Mystique one, and so those leaderships are not only, you know, unique and of themselves, but they're also from two very different mindsets. So you kind of have even more of a fun difference when it comes to that stuff, which is, I think, you know, it's always enjoyable to see how that stuff works out. But very different styles of options, and they open up different avenues. Really wanted to emphasize Mystique's kind of covert operative nature, and her role as a leader of the Brotherhood is very different from like the Magneto role as the Brotherhood, right? Like, Mystique is gonna sneak in and either liberate captured mutants, steal important government plans. They're gonna be snatching and grabbing something, so they need to be kind of subtle. Whereas when Magneto comes down with the Brotherhood, like, you know things are about to get real. Like, there's gonna be a lot of destruction, and those two leaderships really emphasize kind of those different approaches to the fight and to achieving their objectives. So, I think I'm pretty happy with this yellow here.
Looking good.
Yeah, it's coming in nice. We can finally move on to our blue. The camera's still running out a little green. I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix that, but I promise you, it's very primary yellow.
Yeah, I mean, so that yellow has a bit of green undertone, and cameras really love to pick up green for some reason.
Green screens, man, green screens.
That must be it.
I'm also really not staying in focus here, which is rather frustrating. Maybe this will help. I just can't win today. There. Maybe we'll stay in focus better that way. We're just a little too close.
I mean, you're painting miniatures, you're automatically winning.
That's true, except, you know, the viewers aren't if I can't keep this stupid camera in focus, which I'm really having problems with here. Why is it... I'm just cursed, Josh. I'm just cursed. I wonder if our camera got knocked out of mode here. Oh, now I'm just bouncing everywhere. Oh.
They said it's grabbing the brushes.
It might be. Let's get those brushes out of the way. Look at those smart people out there. You guys are so wise. This is why I'm going on vacation next week. Don't do it. Yay. Okay. Great.
Ooh, I got my vacation coming up.
Okay.
You approved it. You can't stop it.
Stop what? Vacation? I'm pretty sure like the entire studio's on vacation next week, and well deserved.
I think so.
Well deserved. Everyone has earned themselves a nice break.
I ran out of Arbuckle's Brown. Where'd my Arbuckles go?
How could you run out of Arbuckle's Brown? That bottle is huge.
No, I just had the tiniest amount on my paint palette. I gotta dig for some Arbuckles. Hold, please.
Release philosophy. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, Frankie McShanky is asking about release philosophy when it comes to how we do characters and stuff. You know, part of it is based on wanting to hit all of the major touchstones of the Marvel Universe, and the affiliations are kind of a good marker for that. So when we do releases, if we're releasing a new affiliation, it's obviously very important to make sure that that affiliation has enough characters in it to be viable and to be interesting. And we plan in, you know, we have a very long, like we talked about during our live panel, the play discussion with Pagani. We're looking at things, you know, at minimum 12 months ahead and typically further, like 18 or more, in terms of where we're going and what we want to do. Now, certain things can change that, but we try to be very cognizant of making sure that when a new affiliation is released, it has the minimum number of options to be viable and a few more. And then we're typically, you know, focused on, okay, is this a affiliation that is more contained, less, or is it going to be more expansive? Like, Avengers certainly is one of those affiliations that's going to continue to grow and grow and grow, just by its very nature. Whereas Black Order is it's pretty contained. It's definitely important enough that we want to represent it, but it's not going to be one that sees a ton of additional releases more than likely. So that goes back to kind of like the concepting stage, and then what we're trying to do with the affiliation in terms of its cards and stuff like that. And that doesn't mean that they won't get more releases. There are definitely some Black Order members, as people who love that group, as I do, know that we haven't touched yet. So, you know, it will expand and grow, but even then, there aren't that many additional characters at the moment. Now, maybe the future holds something special for that group, and I hope so, because they're a really awesome set of characters in the Marvel Universe, and I loved their limited run from last year, but we don't know. So there's that. So there's definitely when an affiliation is coming up, or you're releasing something new like Defenders, or things like that, we plan around that. And then there's just a question of, if there's not new affiliations, what major characters have we not gotten to yet? What characters are going to add the most value to what already exists? Are going to bring excitement to the game? What characters could add to affiliations that they don't already have in terms of play styles or options and things like that? So there's a whole host of things that kind of come down to it. And then of course there's reality sets in after you've made a plan, because that's how plans work. You never get to execute the plan, and things like 2020 happen, and you kind of roll with it. So certainly I would say that how things have released and gone has not been the ideal that we initially set up for, but I think that's true across the globe. Nobody had what's currently going. Nobody had 2020 in their 2020 plans. Let's put it that way. That's a good way to say it, right?
And I think that's one thing about our studio that we're quite adept at is, even if we have a plan, we're ready to change it if need be.
Well, and I mean another important kind of aspect and a benefit of the open nature of the game is that, we don't have any kind of characters that are incomplete until more characters come out. There's always room for growth and like new options, but Doc Ock was just as viable and did what he did before Spider Foes, or up until Spider Foes. Now, he gets a new expression. It doesn't change the fact that he was great if you liked what he did, and I love Doc Ock. He went into a lot of my lists.
We have a mutual friend that loves him.
We do, and that friend, who was a playtester at one point, is the reason that Arm Lasers is only strength 6 and not 7.
It's true.
But yeah, so there's that too, right? There's a lot of freedom in terms of how we can approach characters and how we can hit those characters in order to release characters that are really cool or going to be really thematic. But affiliation does play a role in that. And so some months, we plan on just kind of having a wide sweep of cool characters from the Marvel Universe that we're really excited to get to, and that are going to expand options and opportunities for what already is in the game. And then sometimes we get to do that and also add a whole new affiliation, like Uncanny X-Men and Brotherhood, or Defenders, or Spider Foes, or things like that. So hopefully that answered the question. And if not, you can let me know, and I'll see if I can go further. Oh no! What characters could add the most value? I feel like there's a bit of a through line there. It might have to do with Hulk, maybe. Is that the Jeopardy category that we're on with the value statement there? Chat. Uh-oh. Scrubby bush that blue away. But yeah.
How's your Wolverine going, by the way?
He's yellow, and now he's getting some blue, so he's coming together. I'm leaving the skin till last because I'm a rebel, and I don't follow your weird ways of doing things.
You do it how you want. There's no rules in art.
I feel like you have rules.
Rules are made to be broken.
Oh, no they're not. That's the exact opposite of what rules are for.
Look, you gotta embrace your 1980s, like...
My Gen X side?
Yeah.
I
Or your cop drama persona. Just be a loose cannon.
Oh, yeah, loose cannons. That worked out so well. No, I will follow the rules, thank you. I'm a rules follower. I'll argue about the rules, but in the end, I will always follow them.
Or change them.
If Simone was on here, she'd know. I will change them if I have that capability, but that's part of my job, so... Technically, I am following the rules to that point.
Oh.
No, snap. Oh my gosh. Faux pas. What color is Wolverine's head in his Jim Lee costume? I think it's blue, but I'm not entirely sure. Is it blue? I know the mask is black, but I can't remember if it was black or blue on the top of his head.
Oh wait, no, you're talking about that. That's yellow.
The top is yellow? Darn it.
I'm 90% sure.
Back to painting more yellow. I'm pretty sure you're right. You totally got me.
I have a terrible memory. Never ask me. I look up reference for everything.
I have the chat up, so I don't have reference right now, so...
I don't have to remember everything. I have a smartphone, so I can be a dumb person.
I do have a smartphone. I should bring it up. I'll bring it up. Totally yellow. Totally yellow.
Totally yellow.
Looks like its belt is red, too. That's exciting. Got all the colors going on here. This is what I get for doing the masked version. I should have done the non-masked version.
I almost went non-masked, but man, I gotta have those Wolverine ears.
They are, to me, like that's what makes Wolverine. I can't imagine without the mask. I always hated it when he pulled the mask down. It really annoyed me in the Ultimate Wolverine, where he's like in the leather jacket, not in the costume. Even though it was like a much more badass and realistic Wolverine, I was just like, nope. If they're not in spandex, I'm just not feeling it. They gotta be in the spandex suits. They gotta be in the spandex suits. It's like a law. It's like a rule. What other questions do you have, chat? I'm shocked that nobody's really asked for like a scale comparison yet, Dallas.
Yeah, no one wants to know how big Wolverine really is.
It's true. Any chance you'll see the Angela mini soon? I don't know. Dallas, why don't you give him a scale comparison for Wolverine?
So we were talking about the Wolverine size. So this is about how big Wolverine is.
Oh, hold on. Nobody can see that. You're just teasing them. You're teasing them horribly. Oh, there you go. Bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down. Hold on. I'm gonna... Yeah, there you go. There you go.
You can't stop me, Josh!
Josh can't. You've gone crazy. It's like it was a conspiracy. This might have been, like, pre-planned. It's definitely not kayfabe, though. I swear to you. We did not conspire against you. This is not collusion, Josh. I had no idea that he was going to do this. No idea at all. I swear. I swear.
So that's how big Wolverine is.
Chat's helping me out, telling me that Wolverine's nose is yellow too. Get that done.
Oh,
Boom.
that sounds right. Yeah.
Now he kind of looks silly though because he's just got this yellow nose and these white wings. Boop, there we go.
Yeah, my Wolverine has a yellow nose too. I gotta go back and paint it because I accidentally got a little sloppy.
As long as you didn't paint it flesh colored, it's okay. That'd be weird. Come back, come over.
Oh God, that would be weird looking.
He had a flesh nose?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not unlikely. There are definitely characters out there that have, the nose showing. Cap being one of them. I mean, his ears stick out from under his helmet, which I always thought would be really uncomfortable. Or from his cowl. If you go back to when it was a suit rather than just a helmet. So that just doesn't seem very pleasant to me, but...
Oh yeah, like Cap's helmet. I feel like there's a lot of shaping on the back side of those ears, right?
There's gotta be. There's gotta be.
I love these streams where we just kind of talk about whatever random nonsense we want to talk about.
We have no owner right now. We've got nobody going on. Spoilers ahoy! Spoilers. You guys always want spoilers. What's that about? What is that about? I guess it's Gen Con and the afternoon. And I don't care. Josh doesn't.
Oh, here we go. Shick is reckless.
I am reckless, man. I am so reckless. Is Josh in the stream? He's not watching, right? Oh, there are no rules now, Josh? Alright, cool. No rules. Here we go.
Are you serious? Josh, I got something over here I really want to show.
Here you go. Wait, I guess I could zoom out a little bit. Let's see if we can get this in frame better. There we go. You told me there are no rules, Josh. You said it yourself. So, there you go. Look, man, I was going to follow the plan and just show what you told me to show, but then you said there's no rules. So Wong it is. They need to see Wong. Now, you want to talk about a two-pointer who I think is going to open up options for everybody. It's Wong. He is our first pure support two-pointer. I mean, he could punch somebody, but let's be honest, that's not what he wants to do. Between the Faithful Assistant, the Meditate, the Shanti's Blessing is huge, but really it's Faithful Assistant, or it's Faithful Assistant and it's the Shanti's Blessing. Those two abilities make him an incredible character. He can sit on a point, he can meditate, gain his power, the Shanti's Blessing or Faithful Assistant to heal, remove status effects, all that stuff. He's 100% the man behind the scenes when it comes to Doctor Strange. So he was really fun to design. I was really happy with him in playtest, and I know that he winds up on my roster quite a bit. So there you go. No rules. Boom. Oh, I can show the back. It doesn't change, though. He's the same. Yeah, he's just the same old Wong. He's still great. He doesn't want to get punched. He's very afraid. But I'll be honest, once we started playtesting with this guy, after a couple of times through, I was just I'm gonna kill Wong every time. He's first. He's the first target. I hate Wong when he's opposite the table of me. So I know. All right, I'll show. Should I show what Josh actually wanted me to show now? I kind of feel bad.
Getting all the spoilers.
Well, this was technically the approved spoiler. The Wong one wasn't. I can wait. We'll wait. We'll do it later. We'll do it at a different time. I need Josh to like calm down.
Do it now.
No. We have like an hour left, don't we? I don't know. How long do we have left?
I mean, honestly, I'll paint as long as you want.
I mean, I think we're on a schedule though. John, nothing matters, Josh. You have to stop saying stuff like that. You got to stop saying that, Josh, because if you continue on that course, man, like it's
we
just
take that to heart.
it's only going to get worse for you, Josh. It's only going to get worse for you. Wong won't be the only thing that I spoil. I'll be mad with power.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I got something over here I want to show, but it's not Marvel approved yet, so that's the only thing protecting you from this.
I'm going to be honest, like, yeah, don't show that. There are rules we can break, mostly Josh's rules, and then there are rules that we will not break ever. And those are Marvel rules. So, all in good time.
Of course Josh matters.
He does matter, but I mean, like, he doesn't matter when it comes to the rage. We'll apologize to him and, you know, buy him cookies and flowers, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll get him some nice begonias for his office. What?
Simone says we have an hour.
Oh, see? Now, Simone's the boss, so now that she's in the stream, I'm really not going to go off book. Simone's my boss, so I gotta be careful about that.
That was way too red. Way too red.
Simone's my boss by the fact that she's Josh's boss, so I'm not going to mess with Simone. No way, no how. Carnage Mysterio. I don't know why everyone thinks that we just happen to have a Carnage or a Mysterio lying around. Like, just because they're on an affiliation card, kids, doesn't mean that they're, like, done and ready to show off, or even that they've been sculpted quite yet. These things take time.
Yeah, the timeline is really long, folks. I'm trying to remember exactly what we were working on in the studio while we were at Gen Con last year announcing.
Let's see. Thanos, I think, was in engineering at that point. Or maybe being sculpted? It was definitely Thanos-y at that point, so... He might have just been going to engineering. Either way, it was Thanos Black Order-y kind of stuff, and then of course, whatever was a few months out from that. But yeah, the lead times are long because the process takes a lot of time and care and effort, and that's part of the challenge of it, but it's also part of the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I remember when we were talking about posing for Doctor Strange and what we wanted him to do, and I kept going back to that really great cover art piece where he's like meditating in the middle of these mystical rings and he's just kind of floating there, and I was like, we need to do this. And you're like, well, what if we could like maybe do this? And I was like, no, we should just do this. And you and Mark kind of looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, I mean, I think we can do this. And you were like, and then you're like, and I was like, okay, fine, we can't do it. And I think I went back to my office, and I came back in, and you guys were like working on this little bulk out and this drawing and stuff. I was like, what are you working on? You're like, oh, we're working on Doctor Strange. I was like, oh, cool. What'd you guys wind up with? And I walked over, and it like was basically what I had been telling you to do. And I was like, wait, I thought we couldn't do this. And you're like, I think we can do this. And I was like, this is why I love coming to work every day.
Gotta figure it out.
You do. And like that was definitely a stepping stone. Josh and I were talking kind of about the big milestones for us and like where things kind of like go to the next level, like when we feel personally that we've leveled up. And Strange was definitely one of those alongside Thanos where it was like that was the Asgard month to me was one of those ones where it was like internally we were like, okay, we're hitting our groove. Like we had experience under our belt and we kind of knew what we were doing, and it was us like running full steam, kind of the start of the locomotive in a lot of ways. And then Strange and Thanos and the Black Order especially were like the next. They were like, okay, where do we go from here? How do we take it to that next step? And X-Men definitely represent kind of what I feel like is the next step after that, where we started getting a little more creative with, well, that Storm for one was, I'll be honest, that was when you were like, I want to do this with her, and I was like, that'd be amazing, but I don't believe that you can do it.
Yeah, that was the opposite of what you were just saying. That was me going, you know what, I got this, and you're like, you're insane.
And I was like, I've never seen lightning in the way that you're describing look very good and dramatic, because like lightning, it's a kinetic thing, right? So when you freeze that in a moment, especially in miniature where it has to have form and shape and it's part of the connecting part, is just like, I don't know, man, I don't think that you can do it where it won't look cartoony and kind of cheesy, and you're like, we can do it, we'll make it good. And it's like, okay, do it, I believe in you, and it totally works. Like that is amazing. It is so awesome. So,
and the fun thing is we got stuff coming up that is like another level up, like again, right?
Yeah, we really can't talk about that stuff though.
No, I'm just saying, like as a general philosophy, like
yes,
it's constantly leveling up.
I mean, it's the challenge from our amazing super boss Steve Horvath.
True.
It's okay, you did this thing, and it's the most awesome thing I've ever seen. How are you going to top it in 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, right? And I think that's just the studio mentality in general. It's something we all naturally shared in all of our previous work and time and everything. So it wasn't a scary challenge. It was like well, of course, where are you going to go next? Celebrate what you've done, but never kind of like stop to be like, well, this is it, because you can always get better, right?
Never linger there.
Yeah,
I think good way to say that, right? It's like you just shouldn't linger there. Like look at what you do, be proud of what you do, then move on and say, okay, how do I do more?
Or not even do more. It's just take what you've learned and where you were and apply it to the next step. It doesn't even have to be a conscious challenge. It just has to be a willingness to continually improve. Oh, he doesn't have the underwear. Oh,
I think Marco's like the prime example of that. Like Marco's like kill the past. Like
Marco is an iconoclast of his own work, which is really strange, like, although I know, and like I said before, right, the folks who aren't always in front of the camera or the limelight and like to kind of just hang out in the background and do their thing, and it always is super fun to watch Marco read people's comments about his work and other stuff, and like any artist, you can see him kind of be like, yeah, and then all of a sudden he's like, now I got to step it up. And I think that's the thing too. It's like critique and criticism that's constructive is really valid, and it will motivate you and kind of give you a direction of what you need to improve on or where you can do better. But people often forget that positive criticism as well is just as important to motivate and to drive people forward and to be like, yes. Like nothing makes you want to keep creating than knowing that people dig it. And if they don't, like nobody makes anything going, well, I hope nobody likes this. Like that's, maybe you're making it for yourself, but by and large, right? Like if you make something, if you put something into the world, it's because you want that thing to bring joy to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I always tell, the only time I ever feel like I really failed or I get really down on what I've done is not when I make mistakes. because we're going to make mistakes. We're gonna learn and get better. But that's part of being human. The times where I get like down and frustrated are when that mistake or that error causes someone to experience frustration instead of joy, or to experience disappointment instead of joy, because that's not what we're here for. That's not what I want to do. I want to bring that joy, that excitement, that happiness into people's lives, because that's what they're expecting, and I don't want to let them down on that. So that also strives, like, that pushes you forward. But when you succeed at that goal, you're like, man, I'm going to top it. I'm going to make you even more excited the next time. Like, it's such a powerful motivator. Now we're getting philosophical, Dallas.
Yeah, I love it. I agree. Like, I want to make cool stuff, and it's a tricky line, but we work to do our best, and good critical feedback is appreciated and loved. But it's all about bringing joy. I'm all about bringing joy. You've watched me paint. You've heard my paint streams. It's just I like to bring joy, bring a little sunshine to the world.
I'm still on blue. I just moved to yellow. I'm back on yellow. Come on, let's be fair here. I've moved back to yellow. Yeah, I'm not trying to keep up with Dallas, though. Like, I knew that was a fool's errand. I assumed he'd have 2 Wolverines done by the time I was almost done with my 1. I'm not in a race. I'm taking my time and enjoying it.
It's not a race. It's never a race.
Sometimes it's a race. When it's a speed painting competition, it's a race. Like
yeah.
the one you did last night.
Oh, man. I cannot wait to see. Can I talk about this? I can talk about this, right? Like, I cannot wait to see those miniatures. 10 very talented painters did what's called the Aces of Paint. It's a yearly event, Gen Con. 10 painters get together. I've been the MC for several years now, and they have an hour. I gave them an hour and 15 last night. I gave them an extra 15, like, because it's feeling really good. And I can't wait to see the finished photographs, right? Because it was all over Zoom, so I couldn't really see exactly the details. But it's up for raffle, and it goes to charity. So you should go check that out and win yourself some sweet Marvel Crisis Protocol miniatures that are painted just insanely awesome. My buddy James Wapple painted Thanos and the throne in an hour, and it's got object source lighting on it, which is just insane to do in an hour and 15. And it looks bonkers.
Yeah, the stuff that I was seeing was looking just amazing. So I don't think you don't have a Kingpin just sitting over there, do you? That's painted or unpainted? Chat really wants to see a Kingpin.
I showed it. I showed an unpainted Kingpin next to Wolverine.
Oh, well, there you go. I don't know if they saw it, though.
They didn't see it? Oh, we can do it again.
You only have half your screen, remember, because we're sharing. We're sharing, Dallas.
Am I lined up? Tell me if I'm setting good.
You gotta come over to your right. Stop.
I love that he's adjusting his little diamond on his tie.
Oh, yeah.
This is like, so boss.
100%. Yeah, that was he was another one we went through, like, a lot of different poses on to try to figure out, like, how we wanted to convey him, and what was he doing, and was he coming down off the curb, what was he doing with his cane, was he shooting the cane laser, was he being, like, really aggressive, did he have a come at me, was he, like, waving Daredevil on, and eventually we land on that whole, like, he just needs to be, like, confidently adjusting his suit. Like, just get in there and let him be the confident, arrogant Kingpin, because he knows nobody can touch it, right? And that's always been, I think, one of my favorite things about that character, whether it's been from, Spider-Man or Daredevil or anything. Like, the power of the Kingpin is the fact that he just knows he's untouchable. And the kind of how do you defeat somebody who has radioactive spider powers or, echolocation sense and super, like, he's a tough dude, and don't make no mistake, like, he's kicked the crap out of all of these heroes before, but at the end of the day, he wins by just he plays the system, and the heroes can't defeat that. And I think that's so compelling and interesting for a character. And then, of course, you have the whole, he's not always a bad guy. Sometimes he's just, kind of a business guy. Like, I loved the Secret Empire Kingpin, where, New York gets stuck in the Dark Force dimension, and the Kingpin just kind of wanders around and he helps everybody out. He's like, I'll give you food, I'll give you protection, all this stuff. And all the heroes are like, what are you charging people for this? Because we know that you're going to get something out of it. He's like, I'm not asking for anything except that they remember. And then, of course, following that, he becomes the mayor of New York because he runs for mayor, and he tells everybody, he's like, remember who took care of you in the Dark Force dimension? It wasn't the heroes, it was me. And it's like, genius. Just brilliant, right?
It's hard to beat the guy in a rigged system that rigged the system.
Yep. No, my black is going everywhere.
Yeah, we had that one exploration, didn't we, where we kind of like talked about like maybe he's like coming down the courthouse steps, but it just didn't. It never read right. Like the story was never really there. And so when you, like you said, when we landed on this, he's just confidently adjusting the tie, and then we added the Nelson Murdoch sign there to show,
It was like the last icing on the cake was just like, he needs to be crushing the Nelson and Murdoch sign, because it adds that whole extra layer of story to his haughty attitude, right? Like, he's just like, you tried, and guess who won? It was me. I won.
Yeah. Super good, super good.
Do I have a Hulk mini handy? I do have a Hulk mini handy.
I do as well.
But I don't know if I can get them both on screen at the same time. Because we're sharing. But I can try. Let me finish up this black here on the cowl.
I got one, Shick.
You got one? Well, give it a try. Give it a try.
Let's see what we can do here. Does it work?
No. Hold on. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. We want this. And we're going to do this. You got oh, sure. That works. Hold on. We're doing it live. There. Oh, that was like, I'm actually like feeling like I'm a little bit of a smooth operator here. That probably looked pretty good on stream. But now I have to fix it again. Okay. This is why I needed Josh. Josh, why have you abandoned me? There you go. That's a big old boy. It doesn't even fit on the camera.
Yeah, he doesn't. I mean, I had to zoom in so tight on this runt.
Oh, that's rude. Don't be rude.
That was my Sabretooth impersonation.
There you go. Runt. You didn't have enough like growl in it.
I did not put enough like bottom end in my throat.
Yeah, not enough spittle. Needs more spittle. Runt. That was terrible.
Tableau. Look at that tableau.
Ooh, look at him go. So good. So good. So good.
I freaking love that Sabretooth sculpt. Oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, he turned out great. The whole run turned out amazing. I'm actually super excited for Toad. And I gotta be honest, I don't even really like that character that much in the comics, but on the table, man, he's super fun.
I am one of those. I'm on Team Toad. I like Toad a lot. I think he's just a fun kind of character. And but the on the rules though, he's super fun too.
Yeah, I was really trying to capture that feel of Toad being, the obnoxious, slimy, like, dude who nobody really wants to hang out with, but it's just always around because he's got nowhere else to go. And kind of selling that idea and that persona, but making him useful. And I think that's one of the things that I like most about designing rules for certain characters in Crisis Protocol is you kind of sometimes you get those opportunities to take characters that might not be as well known or as beloved as other characters, and if you can make them really shine and do what they're supposed to do in the game really well, watching people become attached to those characters and more interested in those characters to me is like such a super awesome moment, because that's going to open up your world to different expressions and different characters, and more inclusion is always better, right? Like liking more things, being interested in more things only enriches your experience in life.
I agree. Open your eyes and your heart to like what different things that you might not necessarily enjoy now, but look at what they can bring to you to right?
Yeah, and all it takes is like a little window to get to that point, So
It's like I remember when we announced, there were several people who didn't know who Baron Zemo was, and then you saw them like they went and read the comics, and then they were like, "Oh my gosh, this guy is cool."
Yeah. Yeah, it was super fun. I mean, I remember like doing playtests and stuff, especially Pagani. Like one of the things I love about Pagani is that he's not a super comic book guy. Like he didn't grow up with them. He knows Marvel, but he knows it like casually, and I think that's great because that allows him to be more objective when it comes to developing the rules and making sure that balance and stuff is there, because he doesn't get as emotionally attached as we do. So like we get a fight on the side of like, but this is what the character does, and he's like, well, this is the problem with the game, and then we come at it from that yin yang, right? The opposition meeting in the middle is what makes things great.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know who this guy is, and then we played a bunch of games. He's like, Zemo's easily one of my top like 3 favorite characters because of just how he plays and the fact that he like ticks all the boxes that he wants, right? And to me that was like perfect, because then he started being more interested in that character, and he learned more about him just tangentially and stuff, and it was fun. It was fun to see him
there's moments where we're coming at it from like in issue number 327, and he's just like, I don't care about issue 327. You can't add another dice to the defense.
It's true. Sounds like a conversation I have with Josh all the time. Daredevil needs this. I'm like, Josh, he can't have 20 defense dice. That's not okay, man. But he's like this. Josh, I don't care what he's like. Like you can't do that. Not every character can be threat 4, Josh. That's my big struggle with Josh. I'm just going to out him right here, right now. Every character that Josh cares about, he's like, it's got to be at least a threat 4. And I'm like, no. Not every character can be a threat 4. It's not even good for every character to be a threat 4. Like, sometimes the better character is threat 3 or 2, because you're going to have more space for them in your list. They're going to open up more possibilities. If everyone's a 4, like, nobody's a 4, Josh. It's like, I guess. He doesn't believe me. He always says, I guess, but I never feel like he truly believes me. He's very harsh on my feelings. That's what I'm saying. Josh, if you're there, you hurt my feelings a lot, because I feel like you just don't think I'm genuine. Get him, chat. They won't back me, I know. Chat's on Josh. Chat is on Team Josh like all the way.
Team Josh.
He somehow became like the Vince McMahon of the studio through his hard-bitten and cruelty. Everyone just loves it.
His demeanor.
Yeah. It's harsh. It's harsh. Right. Too bad here.
Schnick, bub!
Schnick.
So I don't ever do comic book style painting, but there is a part of me that wants to put that that half circle above on his forehead between the mask that he's always drawn with.
Oh yeah, sure.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, just talking about it, right?
I do.
There's a part of me that's just like, oh man, that would be pretty rad. We'll
Dude,
see. We'll see how we go here a little bit. We'll see what
see how
happens.
you feel? I mean, you got like 25 minutes left, you know? I suppose I should probably show the approved spoiler now, right? We've only got a little bit of time left.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, Josh. I know why this one was approved, and that's why I didn't want to show it. I wanted to show something that I wanted to show. Because I know exactly why. There's one thing on this card that Josh wants to be out there in the world because he's a selfish boy. So don't think he's doing this for you, chat. He's doing this for Josh.
That's the thing about Josh. Josh is on team Josh. I'm waiting to see what it is. I don't even know what this is.
You know what it is. You know what it is.
I'm at my.
Starts with an I and ends with an ist.
I haven't seen anything.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Oh,
Chad has seen it.
Woo!
So.
Woo!
Those defenders, they're so defendery. You're the worst, Josh. Gift cards. You guys in chat, you're just insatiable, man.
It's been one heck of a Gen Con. I'm gonna be really real.
I know, like, we're kind of out of stuff to show at this point. So if you're not satisfied, I'm afraid I can't help you. Like, this is why there's a gladiator shortage in Rome, is from people who are not entertained by this point. Come on, guys. Come on. So, I'm catching up to Dallas. Not really. This is the point. This is the point in the speed painting competition where Dallas is like drawing some kind of crazy stained glass effect on his base because he was done an hour ago and has nothing to do, and I'm like, I'm getting to the skin now.
I got to paint this little red belt. I did the X-Man logo gold on his belt.
Gold?
Yeah, it looks really good.
That was supposed to be red and black.
So the brown and yellow suit, he's got a red belt and a gold belt buckle. So I'm like paying homage to the gold belt buckle. Keeping it real.
Yeah, I mean, I'll out myself. I wasn't really old enough to be reading comics when Wolverine was in that orange and brown outfit. My era of X-Men comics was definitely the Jim Lee yellow and blue. Like,
yeah.
I remember playing the X-Men arcade game as a kid in the arcade when those things existed. And I was like, why is Wolverine in such a weird outfit? And then I was like, when did Wolverine start shooting lasers from his claws? Because that game had to take some liberties with the mutant powers.
Berserker Barrage!
And what I don't even think he called it that at that point. That was more of a Marvel vs. Capcom thing, I think.
Oh, yeah, true.
I think it was just like he just growled and shot lasers from his claws.
Which is acceptable.
I mean, you know, I was like, I don't remember him doing that, but then I was like, this game's pretty sweet, so I don't care. It wasn't going to stop me from playing it. I was just very confused.
The only in my little tiny hometown that I grew up in, the only arcade was in the local grocery store
Nice.
owned a video rental place next door to it,
Oh, man.
which was awesome because it had like they had like this incredible like for such a tiny conservative town,
Mm-hmm.
they had this amazing selection of like just horror movies, and they
Nice.
didn't charge you.
They're like, whatever.
Yeah, they so I was able to rent like stuff like that I shouldn't have been able to rent. It was great. But they had arcade games in the back. They had arcade cabinets in the back, and the Marvel game was back there. Boy, we put so many quarters in that thing.
Oh, yeah. Game was awesome. I mean, like I said,
Uh, Go ahead. Sorry,
no. What were you gonna say?
no, I just kind of caught like a little bit of delay. I was just gonna say I got told that it's time to put the 5 o'clock shadow on. I'm like, yeah, that's probably right.
It is past 5 o'clock here, so that checks out. Checks out.
Hang on, I'm putting a blue glaze on these claws to make them sharp and shiny. Okay, 5 o'clock shadow it is. I need a gray. I need to find a gray and a green.
Crop tick punch. I like it. Yeah, walk us through how to do a 5 o'clock shadow because I think a lot of people are going to want to know how to do this, and one of those people is me. So refresh me.
I gotta find a gray real quick, so you gotta be entertaining.
Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that, Josh. I can't be entertaining. I'm just going to spoil something else, Josh. I don't know how to be entertaining. I can't do that.
You're a loose cannon, Shick!
I am. I'm a loose cannon. Here, is this entertaining enough? Ooh, I think it's pretty entertaining. The Hulk throwing a Pym-grown, like, what are those things called? Traffic cone. That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, I missed it. What'd you show?
You'll see it. You'll see. Are you back now? Because I'm like,
Oh,
I'm running out of things. You're gonna make Josh cry. Like, you're just gonna ruin Josh's day. I can't help this. Here. Oh wait, I don't think he's shown this one yet. How about this? We'll see. Can I get in there? Here we go. Josh doesn't care about this. I told him to post this a while ago and he never did. Oh, come on, light. There, that made it better.
that piece of art is amazing, by the way.
I love that piece of art. Again, it's one of those ones where it's like we want to up the humor on this piece. So this one is, I think, the last card that you haven't seen from Green Goblin. So. Whoop. All right, what do we got going on here?
Oh, they're losing their mind. Maybe I should keep looking for paints, Josh.
No, don't. I'm out of stuff. I'm going to have to start digging around soon, and then I'm really going to get in trouble. That's what we call a tease, chat. We're out of control. I mean, honestly, what's Josh going to do? Nothing. You got nothing, Josh. You got nothing.
And Dallas and Shick were never allowed to stream again.
I mean, I guess that's a possibility. But he gave us all the equipment, so like, how's he going to stop us? Reset the password on the Twitch? That's about the only way I can think of.
So what I'm going to do here for the hair is I've mixed a little bit of gray in with my base skin tone.
Give us the colors, Dallas. The colors. Recipes.
Miskatonic gray, and then whatever, dude, the skin tone is just a mess on my palette at this point.
Your skin tone of your choice. Got it. And Miskatonic Gray.
Yep. And I'm just gonna paint this in. So I'm actually gonna put some of this on the arm. I want to represent that like furry nature of our, favorite Canuck. Little Canuck head, as they call him.
He needs the fur in order to live.
It's true. It's cold up north. So I'm gonna paint a little bit of that on, like these forearms and up on the shoulders, keeping a shadow. And then I did it on the lower part of the face. But I keep it away from the upper lip and the tip of the chin. I don't want to do that. I want a little bit of highlight there. And you can take a little bit of green. This is like the whatever the olive green is. I pulled this out earlier for the painting class. I want to put a little bit of that green in there. So it's an olive green. Do you remember what the olive green is called?
From which line?
The scale.
Like the normal scale line?
Yes.
Ardennes green?
I think it's Ardennes, yeah.
That would be my first pick for olive, or it could be the field gray. They're both... Field gray is a little more desaturated. Ardennes is definitely more greeny.
It's the field one.
Oh, yeah, okay. This one.
Yep, so I just put a little bit of that in there. And I don't need to perfectly blend this. You can actually stipple this, and that way you get that little stubbly effect. And that's about all I do. It's just a nice glaze just to bring that together. And just to put that little hint of that 5 o'clock shadow on our boy, Wolverine. Because he's always looking like that, right?
He always needs a shave, for sure. For sure.
I wonder if he has to buy like an adamantium razor.
No, he doesn't need an adamantium. Like his skin isn't invulnerable.
Look, I don't know what those.
But to be fair, like it makes perfect sense that he'd be super hairy because cellular regeneration would cause his hair to grow at a rapid rate. I mean, he probably should be even hairier. So, like if we're really gonna start to split hairs, if you will, puns. We were having.
I guess I just assume he shaves with his claws. Like I guess he probably doesn't even buy razors.
Probably not. He just has his own straight razors built in.
6 of them.
Get your little red belt on there. Did Josh respond at all to my challenges and taunts?
No, he ignored it.
That's rude. That's because he knows. That's because he knows he's got nothing. What is he gonna do? He's not
teeth
gonna.
are not. The Noble 117 says technically shouldn't Wolverine's teeth be adamantium since teeth are bone? Teeth are not bones.
They're enamel. That is a weird. That's a weird thing, though. I gotta be honest with you. Like the adamantium grafting process was that precise. Like, well, that's not gonna go on the teeth. But I think he's got a point because whenever you see like Days of Future Past or whatever, whenever they have the Wolverine skeleton, his teeth are shiny.
His teeth are shiny in the skeleton nose, yeah.
So there's something going on here. Like maybe the enamel is not touched, but the underneath the tooth is like solid adamantium. So eventually the enamel like wears off, and then it's just like metal teeth or something. I don't know. There's something going on here, though. I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something, chat.
Now I'm I'm trying to remember the issue. There's an issue where the front cover, I believe, was chromium, and Wolverine was all skeleton, so he had like the teeth were all. Now I'm going to dig out that issue.
Oh, back when they used to do all the things, they used to puff it.
Chromium gatefold covers.
Uh huh. We gotta give him his white eyes, and then I think I can call this like good enough for stream since we only have 10 minutes left. There'll be a little bit of stuff to go, but I'll be pretty happy with the progress that I made in 2 hours. Spoiling all the things for Josh.
The defender's card was hot.
I mean, it does. It's pretty spicy. It's pretty spicy. There's no doubt. Yeah, Defenders is a super fun affiliation to play with. Doctor Strange is obviously the leader, and it is, for those wondering, it is, of course, the Defenders from the comics, not the Netflix series. So if you're like, where's the Daredevil? Well, I'm afraid Daredevil never really played around with the Defenders too much until recently. They have, I believe, written him in to kind of like create a new version of the squad, but the original Defenders was definitely quite a bit different, and that's where the inspiration for that one comes from.
How you feel about your Wolverine?
I'm pretty happy with him. I mean, there's a couple of things that I'll go back and kind of clean up and push a little further. But overall, I would be totally cool with calling this guy Tabletop done. Like, he is.
Yeah, I'm about done. I want to do his eyes still.
But yeah, he's definitely what I would call tabletop ready outside of the base, which I'd have to finish up. But like we talk about on all of our streams, right? The goal is to get him to a place where you'd be very happy to put him on the tabletop, even have him on your shelf, feel comfortable and confident with it. And I'm going to spend more time on him because I love painting, and I like going to that extra level. Not competition level, but I like, going into highlights and doing a bit more blending and stuff because I find it very relaxing and therapeutic, and it brings me joy. So that's what I'm going to do, and that's what a hobby should do. But if this is like where I ended, outside of cleaning up some black around his eyes, I think this is a wonderful Wolverine who would look awesome on the tabletop. He will be, Josh? I don't know what you're promising over there, bud, but that's cool.
There's some. I think they had them built for them. I don't think they built them. I don't. What is that being? What is that? Oh, the demo or building Gen Con displays like the subway station. Yeah, those were custom built by Rob Hawkins.
There were others too. If you're talking about all the Gen Con tables.
If I'm talking about all of them, yeah. But the subway, I remember what.
Rob did the subway, and Rob Hawkins did the X Mansion from the video.
Yes.
But there were a number of really amazing hobbyists who worked on those tables, and most of them worked directly with Asmodee and their convention team. So that's why we're struggling to give you names, because we looked at pictures, but we didn't actually work with the artists directly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that we don't love them. We do. We super love them. We just...
The bridge that you saw in the video, or in Shick stream, that was at the beginning of Gen Con. That was also Wild Poppins.
It was. That was. I'll take full responsibility for that. Was my baby. I think I told you from the very first moment we started working on this game that I wanted the Brooklyn Bridge as a photography table.
It's true.
And it took me longer than it should have to get it, but you did finally deliver. You did finally deliver.
It took me longer to get it than it should have, but I got it for you.
You did, and it's so awesome. I giggle every time I see it. And that's why I was like, Josh, I'm putting this on the stream, and I don't care what you say. And Josh was like, fine, do what you want. I don't even care anymore.
The Noble 117, are the lines on the brown suit on the model, or is that these are all sculpted on lines. We're actually painting the same miniature. There's no difference between these two miniatures. I just painted mine brown. Oh, are you talking about the division between the brown and the yellow? Yes, that's freehand. Sorry. Took me a moment to figure out.
Yeah, but that'd be really easy to do because he's got such nicely defined abs that, I mean, I see what you did there, and it'd be really simple. I think it's not complex freehand.
Yeah, it was really easy. I just used the bottom of his chest muscle and just painted all that brown, and then I just picked a point under each one and just brought it straight down onto each side of the X symbol, and that was easy enough. And then here, I just intersected the tip of the black slashes, and then that was my division line to create the brown center to the suit.
All right. Well, I don't know how you're feeling, but I'm thinking that we're almost at time, and I'm pretty happy with where I wound up. So
I'm really happy. I'm like I said, all I really want to do is go through and spend a little time like tightening up a couple things, and
yep.
and then throw on the white eyes. I'm going to do the white eyes.
Yeah, I got to do a little bit more work on the eyes, just to get them to pop and look right. And then I'll go through it, like I said, tighten stuff up. But otherwise, like if this was just my tabletop Wolverine, and I wanted to move on to the next character, I would be 100% happy with this. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if it was game night at the local game store, and I had to go play against Pagani, I would take this, and I'd play with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally could see that. It looks great. So. All right, guys. Well, with that, we will thank you for hanging out with us over this virtual Gen Con experience. We'll be joining you guys one more time tomorrow, I believe at 9 a.m. Pacific. 10 a.m. Pacific, to wrap up and call our final tally for the Infinity Clash event that's been running since Thursday.
Oh no, that's 9 for you, right?
That's 9. Oh, you have one more? You have one at 10 for Path of the Worthy.
Yep.
So we will be back for 2 more streams tomorrow. We'll be wrapping up the Infinity Clash event, revealing the winner, as well as Dallas will be back to talk Path of the Worthy, which will be a whole... You want to give a little overview on what to expect from that class?
Yeah, it's going to be more philosophical. Like we always talk about tabletop on our streams, and I want to give people an example of like what we're looking for once we start moving up into the competition. And maybe you'll see some other stuff and talk about the future, like of the Worthy, because the Worthy's not gone. We're figuring out how to bring it to 2021, but we will definitely be showing some cool stuff.
I mean, I'm going to be impressed if you can get that stuff on camera, to be honest, because I've seen how big it is, but... zoom out, as far out as you can get.
They might not see the whole thing, right? But they'll see it. It's big. So.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope you had fun. We will see you tomorrow, and we will be wrapping up Virtual Gen Con 2020. Hope you've had a good time, stayed safe, had plenty of experiences throughout the convention, digitally, staying safe and all of that stuff with social distancing. We definitely miss seeing you all in person, but I think this has been a really great way to enjoy. There you go. That's all you need. Wolverine claws with the brushes. To enjoy each other's company and have a great time chilling and talking about all the things that bring us joy. So until then, be great to each other. Take care of each other. We will see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.